What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a new day of opportunity. I am your host, Coach Ando. Welcome back. And I got a special surprise for you guys today. As I mentioned and promised last week, we have our very first guest on the show this week. Now, before we get into introductions, a little update of the journey towards the national stage for myself. Currently 5 weeks out, and we are rolling. Weight should be picking up next week, and things are moving and feeling smooth. So I'm super stoked about that. I'm very stoked for national stage as well. I'll be bringing you guys on the road with me through the entire weekend. And I'm planning things out right now, but we'll most likely have like 2 to 3 different style videos from the weekend for YouTube, including interviews with some of the ladies competing on that Saturday and a travel and stay vlog kind of thing, so you guys can kind of get a little insight on, where we're staying, what we're doing in Utah. As well, we will have a competition day vlog, just to show you guys the freaking animal within me, and get to show off my performance on stage. So I'm super stoked about that. Tons of stuff to look forward to and tons of footage to provide to you guys. So stay tuned in through the prep and through competition, and it will be a fun ride. Today, I'm actually also recording, or I should say tonight at this point, I'm actually also recording this week's YouTube vlog for Nationals Prep on Deadlift Day is today, which will be dropping maybe there's a possibility it drops tonight, but most likely it'll be dropping tomorrow. You can find that at Ando Strong on YouTube. I think there's some numbers in there, but if you search up Ando Strong, you'll find your boy's channel. All right. Now for today's episode, I want to welcome on and introduce our guest today. He's a personal trainer manager at a local PDX Crunch Fitness, a peer, a coworker, role model for sure, and a friend to me, and one hell of an athlete and powerlifter. Today, I wanted to open up the books on Mr. Brian Navarro and take a delve into his mind, figure out how to unlock the beast within for us for competition, and how we can see how he has seen such great progress and success in powerlifting through his first 5+ years in the sport. Multiple state record holder in multiple weight divisions in powerlifting. That's fucking awesome. A devout Christian and family man. Couldn't think of a better person to have on as my first guest. Brian, welcome to the show. How we feeling today?
I'm feeling ecstatic right now.
How was that intro, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Not too shabby?
Oh, yeah. I was like, wait a second. First time guest? I was like, what?
Let's go.
No way. I'm honored right now.
We're only 4 weeks into the show, having the podcast together. So
no way. That's sick.
This is really cool having you on here just 1 month in.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked to get into everything with you, but I want you to start talking as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me hit you with the first question, and let's start breaking into your life, your powerlifter lifestyle.
Let's get it.
So let me get first. When did you start? What year did you start getting into like heavy lifting? And when did you begin to actually powerlift? Why don't you start there?
Heavy lifting was probably by the beginning of my college career.
Okay.
As soon as I got into it, I didn't know where I was at in college, and like the gym was always my life, the way I grew up and whatnot. And I figured, why not get a little stronger and see where I'm at? And actually my second year of college was when I was getting into my associate's degree for exercise science. And one of the coaches there at my college gym, he was also a powerlifter for a while. He actually got me into it. And he was my first coach for my first powerlifting meet, which is super sick. Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I want to say 2018 was when everything started rolling.
Yeah, so it's been 5+ years now, huh?
Yeah.
That is such a great thing to have for the guests that listen to this show, because it shows that even a small amount of time in powerlifting, you can do so much. You can become a veteran. You can be that guy that you want to be. So what, besides having that kind of outlet per se, what really attracted you to powerlifting? Like, I know for me, I think one of the main things that got me into it was just that feeling I got from like my first 405 squat.
Yeah.
And that really like set the tone for me. So what was it for you? Did you have one of those moments, or was it just conglomerative?
Yeah, in high school, everyone had PE. We had weightlifting for PE. I think it was my first 455 deadlift.
That did it.
Yeah,
That was
that was my moment. I was like, I think I want to get stronger. I want to see where this goes in my life.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that was a few years before you decided to kind of get into powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like with the coach.
Yeah. Like in between then and between high school and college, it was more so trying to figure out what can I do to be better every single day. I was watching a whole bunch of YouTube, probably the wrong kind of YouTube videos here or there. But after a while, really delving myself in, diving in, and just seeing what was better for me.
And so you said the 455 deadlift is one of those clicking moments for you.
Horrible form, but yeah.
What was your favorite part about like training that kind of really made you start considering the competition for powerlifting?
Technicality. Being very technical with each and every single lift that I have, being technical with every aspect of the training program. And then within my first powerlifting meet, seeing the difference between true pure brute strength and then training for just your gym session. Like there's a time and place in between both, but when your head is in the game for your powerlifting meet, like you have to do everything correctly in order to get the better outcome of it.
So the technicality aspect kind of attracted you.
Yeah.
So
I'm a very technical person.
You were already strong. You had that natural strength in you, the Islander blood within you. And when you realized you could unlock that, you were like, okay, but there's something else to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that point because I still see it today, but you see so many people online that gun for it almost too soon.
Yeah.
And don't hone in that technicality of the sport, and that's where a lot of people falter in competition.
I also think that's where a lot of people give up on powerlifting because they want that quick result. They want that quick access into progression. But like as soon as we start understanding the technicality, the strength aspect, and then your mental state, in all three, people start to see that line, that road develop a little bit more.
And actually the path like unravels for them.
Yeah.
Like naturally because they're focusing on the right thing.
Yeah.
So what we kind of touched on, and I want you to expand a little bit on it, but maybe this will help out. So what fueled you to continue for the 5+ years that you've been in the sport? So we kind of got into like how we got in, but what kept you going?
Yeah. I want to say way before. I think it was just pure brute anger. Everyone can attest to this. Like it was just pure anger. Just fueling myself every single session. Like what's going to get me pissed off today?
Yeah.
To make my session a lot more better.
So like that motivational aspect. Yeah. What was fueling me today?
Yeah.
How could I take my anger out kind of thing?
Oh yeah.
What was a cue that got you? Was it like a ex, or was it bullying, or just?
In all honesty, if you want the full truth, and this is one of my testimonies, it was just depression. It was just, why am I not killing myself today?
Right.
What am I doing for myself to not kill myself?
And where did that kind of mentality, like the depressive mentality, start to set in? Like, did it come from a certain something? Is it just natural, like,
it was a certain something. It was just a roll of certain things that happened. Like, way back when my aunt passed away. Yeah. RIP. She was like my second mom. And then 2 weeks later, my grandpa passed away.
Damn.
So I was like, just a roll of certain things just got into me.
Like a question of life, mortality versus immortality. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I think we all kind of go through that. But the fact that powerlifting's kind of been a saving grace for you, I think is a beautiful aspect of it as well, because it's such a brutal thing.
It is
to do, right? Like
to watch,
mentally watching, to do it. It's brutal. Like, it is brutal. When you said brute strength before, you were on the money. When it's brutal. It's a brutal sport. Why we put ourselves through it? We have these things that you said, like we have depression. There's traumas in life, and I actually saw a cool thing. It must have been through Joe Rogan Experience, but somebody was saying that, like,
shout out Joe Rogan
Experience. somebody was saying that dogs and humans are among the only mammals that actually can contain trauma
Yeah.
in their life. Like once they experience a trauma, we can hold it in our physical being
Mm-hmm.
throughout life, whereas other animals will kind of bounce back off of it. And I think that might be a big driver too, right? Like even when we're not depressed, we still have that kind of driving aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good or bad.
yeah, good or bad. And I always feel like it's death because like I had, suicides in my life from friends and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that put me in that same kind of mentality of like losing somebody, being angry about it and not knowing why,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of trying to find an outlet for it. For me, it took a lot longer. For you, it was able to come to you sooner,
Like right there.
which was
Right there.
that's great.
Yeah.
And that's one of the aspects of powerlifting that I really love.
Like it's a switch in my head. Like, okay,
Yeah.
it's go mode. Boom. Here I am, ready to do this. Do or die. Do it, or nothing's gonna happen in your life. You won't
Right.
get anywhere.
Right. And how do you combat that with the failure that kind of comes along in powerlifting?
Just do better next time.
Do better.
That's all it is.
Find out what was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think now, like that was way back when, but now going into it, being a little bit more technical with my training and whatnot. If I fail a lift, what went wrong? Like, what can I visually see within that moment, fix, re-cue, and then just hit again more swiftly?
So you recently competed.
Yeah, back in February.
Back in February, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
At Kabuki Strength
Showdown.
Yeah. And that was in local PDX area.
Mm-hmm.
On the same topic, you went under the bar. What was it, 661? Was it 300?
Yeah.
So it's 300 kg. You fail it.
Yeah.
You come back on the stage. The next attempt, you hit it like it was like a 550 squat.
Yeah.
What happened?
Just why didn't I hit it? Like, I hit this in training. I should be able to hit it now.
Mm-hmm.
What went through my head was, are my wraps too tight? Let's try it again with the wraps a little looser. Was I not bracing properly enough? Let me re-brace twice as hard now. Was I not packing my shoulders correctly? That way it just digs into the bar? Let's do that. It was just little fixes, little moments to where I know I could fix in that moment within that small, short time frame that I had, and just redo it again.
So a little bit to unpack with that.
Yeah.
Couple things I want to touch on.
Yeah.
Is motion-wise. I feel like, because I was right there behind you, spotting, thank God, which was really fun and cool to do.
I appreciated it.
There was a misgroove on the second attempt, 300.
Oh, yeah.
And it almost looked like you might have touched that same spot on the third attempt. You had to get the third attempt.
Mm-hmm.
You almost touched that same spot. How did you pitch out of hitting that block and failing the first time and then hitting that block the same way and succeeding that second attempt? How do you go about that?
I think within my second attempt, I was just too in my head. So it's just like blocking everything out, clearing my head, and just telling myself, Ryan, this should be on the money, like right here, right now. Like, you've been in this game so long, you know what you should be fixing.
Yeah.
So clean it up, clean that act up, re-hit it again.
And something sparked in there
Yeah.
because you were aggressive in the failed 300, but something happened in that second attempt when you went back into 300. It was different, bro. I thought you were seeing red, but what was going on in your mind? Like, how do you get to that point?
Do you know what happened right there?
What?
I blacked out as soon as I hit the bottom.
Really? So it was just pure. But what about getting under the bar?
Under the bar, it was just mental clarity.
Everything left.
Yeah.
And
I was like, as soon as I gripped onto the bar with my hand, I was like, oh, yeah, I have this. This is it right here.
And what does that feel like, dude? Not the weight, but what does that feel like in here?
Oh, dude.
I think that's what people are interested in.
That's something to think about because it's different for everyone. For me personally, I think it was more so angelic. Like, I have nothing to be afraid of. I have nothing to worry about. I have everything under control in that moment. Like everything could go right, and it did. As soon as you have that, you've had that feeling too. It's like, I have this under control.
Mm-hmm.
I
got
could
this.
easily do this right now, right here, right now. I could probably rip it out for 3 if I wanted to.
And then the blackout helps, of course, a little bit. So you're like, oh, I got to stand back up, bro. I'm not up at all. That's awesome.
I blacked out down at the bottom of the hole. I woke up within a second. I was like, wait, where am I?
Because you came out so fast, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it can't really do it justice on a podcast,
Mhm.
but to paint a picture for everybody listening, this guy came out of the hole. If you've seen Jesus Oliveira's, this is the only speed I can attest it to. If you ever see Jesus Oliveira's squat, get into the hole all controlled and then bounce out of that thing, even when it's like this 1054 fucking squats.
Mm-hmm.
That's the speed that you came up with, and it was wild to see because the attempt before did not constitute that kind of a rep coming right after it. Like that first 300 was just, it wasn't even like you weren't controlling it. It was that, like, I just feel like the weight wasn't right in that moment.
Yeah.
And then clean up, mental clarity, angelic moment, which is awesome because we're so used to putting it with like demonic and metal type thoughts, whereas those are like healthy aggression type thoughts. Having like an angelic type clarity is almost like,
it was angelic and energetic at the same time.
That's a wild.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you're waking up the animal of beauty within you and not of pain.
Oh yeah. Like, do you ever get those moments where the bar feels cold and then you start to get ice cold too?
Yeah.
It was that.
And you kind of can't feel the weight for a split second.
Just unracking, it was just like, why is this so light right now?
So you got that. That's why you blacked out at the bottom, because your CNS was gone.
Third attempt in.
CNS gone.
Yep.
Third attempt in.
Yep.
Just failed 300. That's 661 pounds. Goes back under, angelic moment, blacks out, can't feel his body, does the rep. I mean, if that doesn't say fucking powerlifting in a nutshell, I don't know what the hell does, because that is insane. It's insane. And I've seen people go at several numbers, you know, for several attempts in a row. You know, you watch the IPF every now and then. There's one of the lifters that like doesn't hit the bench, misses a command on the second one, and then finally on the third they hit it, but it's the same thing and throws off the progression factor of powerlifting, right? But that's really cool because we were going to talk about how to unlock the animal within.
Yeah.
So how do you think you unlock this angel within now that we're speaking on it?
Yeah. Like nowadays?
Yeah.
I want to first start off by saying, like, I started going to church a year and a couple months ago, or a year and a couple months back. Like, going into this meet, I knew it was going to be different because prior to that, I had my last powerlifting meet. I was probably my most demonic moment because of what I was doing before. Like, I was on drugs, I was drinking, I went through my depressive episodes, but going into this recent one, like, there's a whole new moment where I give myself to God. I ask God for help. He helps me. And in that turn, I do what I need to do.
So it's a different fuel source nowadays because certain things have healed. A lot of time has passed.
A lot of time.
And you've been able to come at it in a different perspective. And personally, from the time that we first met to how our personal relationship is now, I think is great and wonderful, and I'm very much appreciative of it because of how great of a dude you are. But I do remember some dark times when I first met you. I think you were kind of still coming out of that phase. I know you've had a lot of great things come into your life.
Yeah.
And another reason I'm saying this for the audience is to paint you guys a picture of a scenario and a man who has gone through waves of life and has had a long-standing stay in a sport to see certain ebbs and flows out.
Oh yeah.
And that's why it's cool to pick his brain on this, because Brian comes from perspectives that a lot of you don't even know exist yet, and you're going to experience in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
So having this, knowing that other people have gone through this kind of a change, know that if you're struggling in some sort of way and powerlifting is your outlet, just like Brian, something will happen where the light turns on.
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important just mental note to give to everybody, because our traumas are different. We both experience certain things. Everybody has a different trauma in their life. As we spoke before, we're one of the only mammals that holds on to trauma. So you're going to experience certain things, but that doesn't mean that life will always be traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, you might carry that with you, but it might not be the fuel source that is required for certain feats of your life. So that's a really cool perspective to hear. I'd love to touch on the demonic side of things to please people, because my next question was, what creates the animal inside you?
Yeah.
So let's understand and accept and acknowledge the fact that we're in an angelic state here, guys, of lifting, and that's a beautiful thing. But let's please the people and talk demons. What brought the animal from inside you out?
Oh man, I could this is probably one of my main testimonies that I've given to people. It was more so during that time, during that phase, just I had this moment in my life where I felt like nothing could ever touch me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this moment in my life where if I were to be in go mode and to just kill someone, I would do it. Like my last meet, not the most recent one, but the one before, I could say like taking all those drugs and drinking at the same time, it made me feel physically numb.
Yeah.
So in that moment of me lifting heavy and everything, I could honestly push as much weight as I can, and I don't care about the repercussions afterwards.
It's like the only time you could feel something was with the pressure on you.
Yeah. That's probably the most demonic phase that I've had.
And what was your, I guess, what was the driving force behind that meets animal compared to the angelic of the most recent meet?
We actually talked about this earlier today, like technicality versus the other thing, right? Like technicality versus philosophy,
right?
Is what we talked about, right? I want to say like for Louis Simmons, because I talked about Louis Simmons, just be as strong as I could, put as much weight as I can on the bar, and if I don't move it, you better hope to God that you better move it again within a couple of minutes. And that's what I went into within that last meet, within the other meet. Going into it, I never looked at the numbers that I was being put onto the bar because I knew that I was just going to click into my head, okay, let's go. Okay, we're doing it. Like, it was just there in that moment. But now, technicality played a role where it was like, okay, if I misgrooved, what can I do to be better? If I didn't hit it then, why aren't I doing it again? Or if I didn't do it then, what am I going to do next time to clean it up?
And do you feel like there was obviously a change in mentality, but do you feel like with this change of mentality, it was better for you in the most recent meet? Because with more weight, there's less room for error.
Yeah.
So do you feel like having that new clarity to drive you in meets is healthier?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, I don't think I could really give out as much as I really can within me to tell people, like, once you have that good clarity in your life to figure out, okay, this meet is for me, you won't get to see the change and the progression that you really get. Because it's totally fine having that angry phase in the very beginning, because everyone gets that feeling like, all right, I'm in go mode, I'm in beast mode. But now, looking at it, doing this 5+ years, I can tell people like it's all how you view yourself within the gym and then onto the platform.
Because then you could take it into a consideration of like, you know, is it healthy to maintain a demonic mindset? Because if you start going down a certain road that's heavily available in powerlifting, i.e. PEDs, you know, if you have that mental, will that be worse when you go on PEDs? Will that get better? Will you mentally become more unstable because of it? Like, these are things you have to kind of ask yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to learn from your experience to know that you can motivate yourself outside of demons.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just might take you a little bit of time to grow into that area of your life.
Definitely. And it's honestly, I find it more beneficial to take that long road because you get to figure out what went wrong in your past and use that as your fuel to make yourself feel better mentally, emotionally, physically, and apply that into your training now.
Yeah, because so often these days, and I'm going to hark back to a conversation we had almost like a year ago now, but I see too many people these days, with it being a trend to some extent, a lot of people are getting into it for the wrong reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Without longevity in mind. And we had a conversation about a year ago where I asked you about why you kind of started and why you did it for 4 years. And
yeah, I remember it.
Definitely today is a different answer than back then, but similar mentalities in a sense. And you hit me with something that really stuck with me, and it was, if you want to see progress and you want to really create success around yourself in this sport, you have to see it out for at least a few years before you start flopping out of it. And that's when I was like, all right, like, I'll give it 4 years, maybe 3, but like you said, you get into something, you look to progress in it, and you find progress in it. It attracts you for sure.
You gotta love what you do.
You gotta love it, and I think, like you just said, you have to give it time. It's not something that you can just be like, sure, for sure, you might have the genetics where you can come in and start lifting 5, 6, 7, 800 pounds right off the bat in your first year. That's great, but will you see it progress, or will you just be a one and done? You know, because I mean, you yourself, you're a national record holder and a state record holder for several categories and weight classes. You didn't get that by doing one meet.
No,
you have to be in the long game for this to really not only see your success, but like create the progress to see the success.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So what makes you want to continue? Are you going to compete in the next few years again? And we'll let's answer those first. Yeah. And then I'm going to piggyback off of that onto a new topic.
Yeah. I do plan to continue on. But in this moment in time, I think taking a break and reevaluating what happened that last meet, because I took so much time off in between that last meet and the recent one, I never really got to see where my potential was. Because it was a last minute decision of taking up this meet.
Yeah,
I never really got that opportunity to peak the right way. So I think if I wanted to, I would want to do another meet. But as of right now, I just need to reevaluate and take my time into it again.
I like that. Have a long off season, reevaluate things, gain strength.
Yeah.
Have time to kind of like fluctuate body weight and stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's a great idea. So on top of what we were kind of just talking about, oh, let me get my questions up here. How do you transfer? Now, this is going to kind of be a two-parter too, because we have two mentalities to kind of transfer. How do you transfer this mentality, kind of sparsing it out a little bit, to your general fitness clients as opposed to your strength clients? That's a good one right there.
That is a good one. I want to say my general fitness clients. It's the same thing as why I went into going into powerlifting. It's like longevity. Like, people need to realize longevity matters. If as soon as you hit 50, not even that, like 35, as soon as you hit 35, longevity matters, because if you can't find that right aspect of progressing your health, it'll all decline by 40, right? Like,
that's when that downward slope starts.
Yep. And with my strength athletes and everything, if they want to get into powerlifting, if they want to see that progression play a big part in their life, then they'll also have to realize, like, it's going to take time. That takes more time getting into that strength than it would be just taking PEDs, taking anything you can to progress quicker. Like, yeah, you want a quick fix, but as soon as you go through the couple of cycles, what do you think is going to happen to you as soon as you turn 30?
T gonna drop.
Yep.
You're gonna have joint issues.
Yep.
This is like one of my biggest pet peeves in the fitness industry today, is the fact that, you know, you have people that literally just work out to be in the gym and like have a regular life outside of it and everything, and like they might make a little money off fitness stuff, but it's not their bread and butter.
Oh yeah.
Why do people go so soon onto PEDs? When I talked about this, I think on last week's episode too, but why a John Hack and a Dan Grigsby, who have significant followings, constantly preach about the fact that people should be seeing their natural genetical peak before considering PEDs.
Yeah.
If they're saying that on major platforms, why does it continue to be a trend where more people are going straight to PEDs before coming to a Brian Navarro for training? Why do you think that is?
I think it is all the time. Social media.
Yeah.
People want to see someone deadlift 1,200 pounds on PEDs compared to someone who wants to deadlift 700 pounds naturally at 16 years old.
Yeah.
It's like, why would someone want to watch a 65-year-old man just squat 400 pounds when he's been working on it for the past 4 years compared to like a 25-year-old who's on PEDs squat 600 pounds?
Yep.
It blows my mind too, because at the gym, I hear a whole bunch of like the kids, high schoolers and stuff too, just talk about being on a cycle.
Yeah.
Oh, let's do a cycle, bro. Like, it won't hurt.
Even as a joke, it's like,
yes, it will.
Yeah.
It will hurt. Trust me.
You go on.
Yeah.
Certain things you can come off, other things you can't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've talked to several parties about this before, you know, just to gain perspective on it, because I'm following the line of a John Hack and a Dan Grigsby. I want to max out my natural genetical strength.
Yeah.
And then I'll have the ability to consider PEDs. That doesn't mean I'll take them. It doesn't mean I want to take them. But if I do want to see progress, I know that that's an avenue I can go down once I max out my natural genetical strength.
Yeah.
Now, there's so many other factors we can address here, like before you should consider PEDs, you should have your sleep in order. Before you consider PEDs, you should have your food in order. Before you consider PEDs, do you train regularly or do you often take off 3 days in a row? you know, there's so many other factors to consider
Oh yeah.
besides just maxing out genetical strength
Oh yeah.
that people overlook. And that's a big reason why I like that you're a natural athlete who has seen it through for a 5-year stint, where most people would have maybe 3 years in after that one bad meet gone and been like, it's PED time. And like, I don't know about that, you know,
I don't
because
know.
like you still are progressing your strength. Sure, maybe PEDs would have put you in the 700s by now for squats and deads and everything else, but would it have been sooner, you know?
Oh yeah.
You still have to max your strength on PEDs.
Oh, yeah.
You can't just
take it and hope that you get stronger the next day.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you want to get aesthetics, like PEDs, you hop on, give yourself 2 months, you'll be way more shredded looking than you were. But you still have to do the work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So no matter what, it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning, where if you want to see progress and success, you do have to get technical with it. Longevity is
more important.
It's almost a necessity of the sport, because sure, a genetically not even enhanced, but just gifted athlete at 16 might be lifting such and such weight, but is that showing what all 16-year-olds are lifting? No, it's an outlier, just like everything. But I think a big message from this is, do you want to be an outlier or do you want to be an athlete?
Exactly.
Because in powerlifting, you're an athlete.
100%.
And you have to do what the athletes do based on what's set up for the athletes to do.
100%.
And if you want to see success, you have to do what you were doing.
Yeah.
Find what's wrong.
Yeah.
Progress those flaws.
Whether in that moment or take a week just to see.
And it could be cleaning up mentality to cleaning up lifestyle. There's so many things that can add that next level to your powerlifting game that people overlook or just neglect to even want to look at.
Oh yeah.
But let's see here. Now for the average, this is kind of where I want to wrap up, but this will be as long as you want.
Yeah.
Now for the average person just getting into powerlifting, give your best outline of a week, including, like, let's say when to start SBDs, how often to implement them throughout an 8-week block, and how often to flow that through the block.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to break down is to begin this conversation with a peak block. Generally, and I'm sure you know, I do 8-week blocks. You could do a 6-week, it's fine, but like an 8-week will give you that taper and the deload in there.
Oh yeah.
Based on the 8-week block, which is an average that a lot of people go off of, when would you say you'd put in SBDs? And where would you get started? Like, how would you set up that first week?
I think for those that are starting off in an 8-week block, typically your peak week, your peak portion of it, that should be in between your 4th and 5th week.
Okay.
Like, that should be that transition.
I like that.
And your SBD should be starting almost 3 to 4 weeks into it, because you're taking so much time in the first 3 weeks getting your hypertrophy back. That way you can really attest to what you're catering to and everything. Your body's going to shift in a different way. As soon as you start going through that high repetition, high volume phase and switch into your peak, your body's accommodated to everything that you have now. So as soon as you start hitting your peak 5s and 3s, you'll start to realize, like, wow, I could actually start moving weight. And then within your SBDs, that should happen again between your 4th and 5th week.
Yep.
So that way you can start again accommodating to what you're going to be doing throughout your powerlifting meet.
Right.
You have 3 attempts between all 3 lifts. Why not practice that 5-6 weeks out?
Yep.
That way you can get used to it a little bit more. Your energy level is going to be different. Your mindset's going to be different. And just understanding where you are physically within that first SBD to the last one into that deload, you'll see how much more you can put on. There's a good dead week block where you might not think it, but you can add 10, 12 pounds into all three of your lifts separately. Like you could add 10 to 12 pounds on your bench after that last dead week, that deload phase, and leading into your powerlifting meet. You could see a whole bunch of strength just build up because you're letting your body rest.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can't stress it enough to all the new powerlifters out there. Like your rest is just as important as your next set. And within that peak block, with that peak phase of that 5th week, you need to shift your mentality. You need to shift your eating. You need to shift your sleeping. All three of those are important. Train, sleep, eat. Train, sleep, eat.
The ingredients.
Yeah. I remember talking to one of my older clients, like way back when, and having him go into that 8-week block. And we had a whole mock meet. And I had him add 8 pounds into his lifts. And
just in an 8-week span.
Yeah. And I told him, like, this is what can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if we keep doing this every quarter into that 8-week block, you'll start to see the change, the add up of the weight on the bar,
mm-hmm.
because you're accommodating to it.
And they're also adapting to the lifting style.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Louis Simmons said it best. Law of accommodation. Understanding that you can accommodate yourself into the different aspects and different changes in your life will help you see that training aspect change.
Y'all heard that shit? Focus on your sleep, focus on your food, and you're going to get good at powerlifting.
Yeah, for real. Like, that's my thing with, like, high schoolers right now. Like, not even high schoolers, but, like, just newer powerlifters.
Yeah.
They have the mindset of, like, okay, I'm just going to get as strong as I can without even training.
And the amount of times I hear people say, oh, I didn't even eat today.
Yeah. I'm like,
what
why?
are you lifting with then?
Yeah.
Like, what proteins do you have in your body right now?
Are you lifting with Jesus? Because I hope so. I try to.
For real though. And the era of ego lifting continues because,
yeah,
I mean, guys, technicality.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to continue to use this example just because it irks me so much. But going to a meet recently and seeing somebody fail their first attempt on squat because they A, missed depth, and B, missed the rack command. Then go out on their second attempt, possibly hit depth, but it didn't matter because they missed the rack command. And then they go out on the third attempt on squat, and you hit depth, but you missed rack command. I mean, come on,
just completely bombing out.
Now you're bombed out of the meet. You can't qualify a total. Technicality, guys. Technicality is so key.
Oh yeah.
To powerlifting. Forget the animalistic, forget the angelic, forget the longevity. Well, no, don't forget the longevity. No. But I mean, if you know you're bad at something in the sport, work on progressing that.
Yeah.
It's a very easy sport to like progress in and reflect on.
Just as much as degressing as well.
Exactly. How often do you see lifters, one meet they're on fire, the next meet they change up their whole mechanics to every lift and drop like 300 pounds off their total?
That was me.
And it's like, what just happened?
I should be a beast. I should totally have this in the bag right now.
Why did I for this?
Yeah. I think people, newer lifters specifically, need to understand, once you start figuring out how to program yourself or ask for programming, especially from you, Coach Ando, and like seeing what they can do better in the next round of their session, they'll see that change. They'll see that flow start to kick a little bit more. And people need to realize, like, it may take some time. Like we keep saying, time is everything. But it's also an understanding of, what are you going to do in this moment to be better tomorrow?
1% better every day, baby. That's what we do. I love that message. And honestly, that is probably a great message to cut out on here.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack in here, guys. Give it another listen. Listen back. Find your favorite part.
Yeah.
See what sticks. See what you find valuable. Bri, thanks for coming on the show, my guy.
Always.
This was really cool. I think this went great. Honestly, we freaking nailed. We're at 45 minutes, baby. Let's go.
I'm telling you,
right on the money, dude.
I can keep talking forever.
Powerlifting is a beautiful sport
Mm-hmm.
because it's brought me so many fucking beautiful people into
Mhm.
my life. Such beautiful events to go to, people to support, and things to look forward to. Couldn't ask for a better episode with my first guest for the ANDO Lifting Pod. Super stoked to have Brian. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast, he's become a good friend, very respected peer on my side of things, and I was just honored and blessed to have him on today.
Oh yeah. Always.
So, Bri, thank you again, my guy.
Thank you.
The man. And everybody listening, thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. This will be the week of the 29th episode, which will be dropping Monday 29, 30, sometime in the beginning of June's calendar.
Yep.
And we'll be back in a couple weeks for new episodes. Look forward to new guests and continue following the podcast. If you want to find let's start for fuck my stuff. If you want to find Brian, where can we find you on social medias?
Instagram, that's where you can see all of my lifts. Pangit Bear, Pangit Bear.
That's right, guys. Pangit Bear on IG. Go follow my boy. If you want to follow the road to nationals with Ando, check out my YouTube. That's at Ando Strong. We got nationals coming up in almost a month's time, which is crazy.
Subscribed.
Woo! Hit that subscribe button. Follow the journey.
Oh yeah.
If you want informational posts, we got my coaching page on IG. That's at ando_lifting12_. Thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to talking with you all again. Until then, peace. Love, and protein.
Oh, I was gonna say love. But okay.
Peace, love, and protein, guys. Thanks so much. Deuces.